You ready?
Yes.
All right, welcome everybody. Good to see you on such a nice day. Such a great group of people getting together again. We're gonna conduct business. We're gonna get out of here on time. All right. All right, so welcome to Hudson 7. These are our hybrid meetings. So thank you for joining us today. Today is Wednesday. We're now on Wednesday, March 13th. My name is Gary Bassett, as you all know, and for those on the screen, I am the mayor of the village of Rhinebeck and chair of the Hudson 7. Our Hudson 7 hybrid meetings will be streamed live on Hudson 7's YouTube channel. Public is advised to subscribe to that channel to watch. Our in-person meetings occur here. Here's the water treatment plant, right, located at 3431 North Road, Poughkeepsie. We do allow public comment both personally and remotely. Please visit our website though, to learn how you can provide public comment by visiting www.hudson7.org and visit our website. In attendance tonight, and we're going to go around the table. All right, I'm going to start over here with this.
Rebecca Edwards, supervisor of the town of Poughkeepsie.
Yvonne Flowers, Mayor, City of Poughkeepsie.
Barry Bassett,
Bertozzi, village trustee.
alternate to village director.
Devin Rigolino, representative for Dutchess County.
Hello, Nick Butler, Port Huron Water Superintendent, Town of Silvis.
Randy Olsted, technical advisor, water plant administrator.
Danielle Freer, supervisor of the town of Esopus.
Russ Gilmore, town of Lloyd.
Andrew Gerald, Hyde Park.
Donnie Ginobili.
Oh, here.
I found St. Anne's though.
All right, so this is official call to order, roll call, and we have determined we have a quorum. To start off, I'd like to get approval of minutes from February 15th, 24, last meeting. So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, and there was a correction to our November meeting. You know, we corrected the spelling of your name, right? Yes.
I get that.
We're gonna keep moving. Elizabeth said she's gonna be a couple minutes late, so when she comes on the screen, we'll just go back into her for our treasurer's report, right?
She is right now.
Yeah.
Yep, she just joined.
Hey there, just in time.
Sorry, I ran late. I had a meeting go late.
No worries. Well, we're up to the point in the schedule for your treasurer's report. You want us to go on and you want to get settled in?
No, I think I'm ready. Hi, everybody. We have $57,608.32 in our account. So far for 2024, we have made $149.10 in interest, and we have paid out for January and February $12,500 to our coordinator. We are all paid up except for the city of Poughkeepsie.
Okay. Need to pay.
We have money in the bank. We're good, so we can meet our obligations.
Oh, you still would like your check.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, we'd like to check. And Mickey, my who was working with me resigned for health reasons, so I'll try and send out a reminder. I've got to go through her emails, but we're in
Okay.
good shape. And
If you
when
can
you
send
get
it to me, then I'll make sure you pay.
is that you? Is that Yvonne?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wi-Fi.
Okay. Yep, got it. Ms.
Thank
Mayor,
you.
you got it. Thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth. And you-
Yeah, the surprise was all the interest we're making right now. So we're halfway to paying for our web service, which is good.
Make a motion to accept the treasury report. Russ, thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Rebecca can't make it this evening. So her report is posted online in our blog for everybody to read. And if you have any questions, please reach out to either Rebecca or myself. And we're not going to go through it because I'll have Rebecca just do that out, but she could not make it here this evening. All right, but communication, please get back to me. On communications, we only have one this evening, and that is a Riverkeeper, and it's an action to press the EPA for a no fault determination on Hudson River PCBs, right? We've been discussing this often in terms of what the EPA is going to do in terms of the next phase, and this action is to make them make a call for non-determination. So Riverkeeper is driving that for us. We will get a chance to weigh in on all of that communication as part of it. I believe, in based on last conversations we've all had, everybody's in favor of doing a non-determination and look for that. And that's it. I don't see anybody online for public comment. Seeing none, we're gonna move on. All right, so we've been talking about the Hudson 501c3 process. I mean, first thing on the agenda is to approve the Mackey Butts and Whalen invoice 221.24. It was for $378, and it was to create the worksheet, the 5 positions that we're looking at for creating a 501c3. And we had Ian McDonald kind of go through every one of those and kind of give comments and make sure that what we were saying in those description of each one, these things would charge us $378 for doing that. I'd like to make a motion to approve the $378 for Mackey Butts and Whalen invoice. And thank you. Discussion? All in favor, say aye. Your part of that is this organizational structure. So we've created this worksheet I talked about, the committee, which Devin and Dan is online, myself, Rebecca and Emily, who's not here tonight, and Russ, excuse me, are all reviewing it. I think you've got a copy of all of that, right? We're trying to set up another meeting. We're targeting the week of March 25th for that meeting. Rebecca will be reaching out to all of us shortly to try to get us together and start reviewing that. So there's no other updates till this group, this subcommittee gets together again and we go over that. Any? Hearing none. A good discussion. We'll keep going and keep you all informed. Hudson River PCB. Right. Shannon online? There you are, Shannon.
Hello.
Cheers. We didn't get a chance to do an update on everybody. We should go around the top. So Shannon, could you introduce yourself? Please?
I'm Shannon. Sure, yeah, I'm Shannon Roback. I'm the science director at Riverkeeper.
Thank you. Grant, could you introduce yourself?
Sure, my name is Grant Jang, and I serve as the Source Water Protection Technical Advisor for the Hudson 7.
On my screen next, Mike.
Hey everyone, my name is Mike Forging. I am the DWSB2 Technical Assistance Provider at the New York State Department of Health.
Ben.
Hey everybody, I'm Ben Gannon with Ulster County.
And Dan from out on the West Coast. Are you there, Dan? Dan in California. It's taking a long time for the electrons.
You might tell him he's muted. Or maybe he doesn't know he's muted.
He's on the phone. It might be hitting *6 on mute.
I don't think he's on a phone. Drew. You there, Drew?
Yes, I am.
Can you introduce yourself? We have a full house tonight.
Hello, everyone. My name is Drew Gamels. I'm a staff attorney with Riverkeeper, just trying to listen in.
Thank you, Drew. And Elizabeth.
Hi, everyone. Elizabeth Spinzia, Supervisor of Rhinebeck.
Thank you, everyone. So I'm going to go back up to Shannon. Can you give us an update, quick update on what's happening with the PCBs and drinking water?
Sure. So I'm actually putting together a presentation that I'll be giving internally at Riverkeeper on PCBs and potential impacts to drinking water. So I'll be giving that presentation on the 25th. And then I'd be happy to come back and give that presentation at one of your meetings if that would work for you.
Really looking forward to it. Thank you.
Okay, great.
Any questions for Shannon? Okay. Next, Champlain Hudson Power Express, the MCP segment 19. I was hoping Paul was here to give us an update because of what's going on. I don't see Paul. So basically, Danielle, I know you're involved as well as all the other municipalities. These are suggestions for water operators, you guys, you and Nick and ourselves, and then Randy, Village of Rhinebeck, our opportunity. I know there's a lot of things going on with Champlain Hudson Power Express. There's a lot going on in terms of the trenching north of Rhinebeck. That's happening as well. So I think there's gonna be information that's gonna be coming out near that we haven't seen yet. So the quick snapshot of this is today in the channel north of Rhinebeck, up to, I don't know how far, 15 miles. That channel, the original plan is to trench at 15 feet, which everybody liked. And everybody thought was good. They have now submitted a plan to change it from 15 feet to 9 feet. Right? It has not been approved. It has to get approval before they can come out with the next segment B. But 9 feet does present an issue for us, even though we're 7 feet here. But 7 feet here, we're outside of the channel. Right, so north, they're in the channel. They had to be at 15 feet. Going to 9, the issue is a potential snag, an anchor snag. Right, so an anchor snag, say, well, okay, grab the cable, but it actually can cause a spill and tip, could possibly out a tip. So we're concerned about that, and when that information comes out, we're gonna have to weigh in heavily. Riverkeeper is weighing in heavily on this as well.
What was
So-
the logic of moving from 15 to 9?
You don't know.
My understanding was they've never done anything deeper than 7. And when they came to us and were talking to us the last time, they told us that they wanted to go for 7 foot. The boating, the traveling community out there, they want 30. So, I mean, they want a lot of, because they're concerned, they said that they could drop an anchor and they've seen it go 12 feet into the water bed, the river, so they want it as deep as possible. I think that's when they came up with 15 in the plan, but Chippy's been telling us all along it's gonna be 7 foot.
Here,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's not all the way.
but it's always been 15 up there.
In that report it was, but I
Again, you know, I didn't catch that either when the report first came out.
Yeah.
But according to them, it has always been 15 in the channel.
Yeah, their certificate that they just put in for the amend it 15 to 9. It's lengthy,
yeah,
but it's maybe halfway, midway through or better, that it says blatantly that they don't have the capability to trench to 15 feet.
And my-
But their certificate, they put that in themselves between 2010 and 2013, I think. It says, knowing that they would get feedback from our engineers, but they wait till now to got to 9 feet, which whatever, but knowing that they don't have the capability.
So, you know, from a water quality standpoint, it's not that trenching deeper or coming up less is gonna impact our index.
we don't know so.
Being that it's farther north. The issue is, what I understand is a spill. Right,
I think the first one was can you just explain it briefly or what this all means? I mean, what.
so Champion has a power express, everyone's running the power lines down the road.
Right.
Right, and so the process of running power lines, we've been working with them since 2021,
Several years.
it's a long time, in terms of protecting the intake, protecting our water. That's been a main thing, especially here, they were really close to the intake here,
Okay.
really, really close, and they were close at one time to town of Esopus, and now they've moved farther away. And so it varies in terms of where the intakes are. We've been fighting them and actually made them do a test sample and also they're testing to make sure that that trench path, which is 2 foot wide, 7 feet deep here, when it creates a turbidity, doesn't impact our intakes. Okay, so now that was part of the EMCP that we were all focused on. Now they're
You were focused on the construction, during the construction phase, the digging of it, not so much the long-term presence of the.
they're gonna be buying each one of our intakes in an hour. I mean, they're running 24/7, they'll be down the river. It'll be to the next from our Rhinebeck plant to the Silvers plant minutes. So it's not the duration, it was the depth and the turbidity and the chemicals and everything else that got stirred
Right,
up.
my question is, are we concerned about that period of construction, or do we have an ongoing concern about the impact on the intake after it's built?
No.
After it comes through?
Construction. What we're concerned about is when they dig in the river, we
Yep.
know there's all kinds of stuff in the river.
Yep,
And so we wanted to find that we want to see how much that was gonna move and whether it would come into our intakes, because that's the biggest concern.
yes,
So what we convinced them to do is do a pilot test. And we did a pilot test where we went out in the river, had to go on a barge, and they did what they're gonna do. They did the trench. We got all the chemical data and we found things in that water. But we also found that it was much lower than any drinking water standard. So we found that there was nothing that we found during that test that we would be concerned about.
And when they did that test, it went down to so many
It
feet,
went
It
down,
went down 7
it
feet.
was a
seven
replica,
feet,
it was a
okay.
replica of what they would be doing when they did the actual.
Okay, but if they go down deeper, do you feel like it's gonna cause more of a problem?
Well, here, they're not gonna go deeper.
Right, it'll just stay at the 7?
They're gonna stay at 7 here.
Oh, okay,
It's north of us where they're gonna go
Right.
deeper.
okay,
And that's where it's not as much of an impact to our intake because they're so far north, even though the water goes both ways. It's more about an anchorage snag.
oh, okay.
The one thing that I was concerned of is there's a coal tar spill between us and the walkway. And that spill is out there from 1 to 13 feet deep in the river over 7 acres.
Yeah.
And so I called DEC and said, what are you gonna do about this? Is this line gonna hit that space? And they assured me that they're not anywhere near where the contaminants are. Because if they hit that spill, it would be a bad thing.
how did the coal tar get there?
Wow,
There's a whole gasification plant on the river back in the 1800s when they tried to get gas into the city for
Central Hudson.
electric. And so Central Hudson did it. And then what happened is they just put the stuff back in the river, whatever they want.
Yep.
So then they were directed to go ahead and clean up that site. And when they told them to clean up the site, the first thing they did was clean up the property, which is down under, close to the bridge again. They cleaned up the site and then they put in shoring to control it, so it stayed on shore. And when they did that, they hit a bunch of it and it came into the plant. So we weren't even told that they were doing that because they wrote in their engineering report, the environmental impact statement, there was a water intake within 1,000 feet of where they're gonna be. But when they did it plans, they never identified the water plant as being a problem. A concern.
So Rebecca,
So
we
we made
engaged
them change everything. We've been working really hard with them. And the last time, and this was years ago, the last time we talked to them, they were doing a study and they went back to DEC and DEC told them last April they would give them more direction on what they should do. And we haven't heard a word. So a year ago, the DEC was supposed to respond, but everybody though will tell you that it has to come out. Yeah, I don't know. So first they were gonna do clamshells. They're gonna put clamshell down, pull it up through the ship, through the river, and all that stuff's gonna go everywhere. Like, no, you can't do that. So then they came in and they vacuumed it. They tried to vacuum. And they said, if we vacuum it, it's gonna take us 13 years to do it, about more than 15 or sometimes the cost. So they didn't want to do that. And now then they want to put a bubbling unit around our intake so that if anything came by, we bubble it away. That didn't work either. So they went back to DEC and they're asking for help. That's what to do.
and that's
So
been one of the,
someday, the desire from a lot of people is it has to come out. But we do have a water intake city.
been one of the battles we've been taking on.
So do you have a time frame on when you'll know what the decision is on the
Or-
15-foot?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I'm giving you just information that I'm getting as. Yeah,
Because that's one of the topics that I wouldn't have known about had Riverkeeper not raised our attention to it. So
you didn't know about
you
it.
hear more. I'm definitely interested to hear.
Yeah. All new news.
Yeah. And then just going back to the draft EMCP, just curious to hear what other municipalities provided feedback for that. We're about to submit our feedback. We asked for a week-long extension. So I'm just curious to see if there was anyone else that had provided impact to the EMCP.
The village of Rhinebeck provided an impact statement of no impact. because they're 2,000 feet away from our intake. So, and we're gonna shut down during the process. So we provided a no impact statement.
Did anyone else respond to the draft DMCP?
Paul Malmrose, technical advisor, put together
Yes.
the information,
I chatted with
which
him.
I support, and that's
Okay.
how I left it. He did everything there. But I don't believe there's gonna be an impact, but I would never say no.
I guess I shouldn't have used the word.
No, I wouldn't say that.
And that's not, we didn't say those at that point.
Right, yeah.
We didn't provide any of that.
All the data we have right now indicates that it should not impact any of our utilities during operations.
Okay. And so hopefully, you talked to Dan, but I'm hoping that we can provide, town of Esopus's input by tomorrow.
Yeah.
I guess we're through today, but, we'll get it in tomorrow. It's consistent with what we've seen in the peer review that Ty and Bob did. So there should be no surprises there, but we really want to make sure that that's all in there. And then once the official EMCP is submitted, we will then have 30 official days of, public review and a chance to again respond. So just want to make sure everyone's aware of that and is reviewing it once it's released.
Yeah, I mean, this is a pre-review, because we got an early.
Yeah.
We got an early release. to be
Yeah.
able to comment.
Yes.
So this week you have to notice that they're gonna do a presentation for the public.
On the agenda, but
Okay,
that's
good.
what you're right. We can jump, you can just mention it now.
I just-
Yeah, we're
this-
going in order to.
Yeah, if you haven't known, you should know that there's a presentation. It's March 25th at
North Point.
Norrie Point, March 25th at 6 to 8 p.m. So they'll have multiple people with that. They're also, we were contacted by them about this community money thing.
Really?
Did you remember you told me
Yeah,
about the money?
Yeah.
Yeah, they want to have a meeting with me, talk about this money thing. And how much, and I said, no, I can't do that. You're gonna have to meet with, that's why it's emailed the mayor, the supervisor, and, to get in Brian Martinez, so they can get involved with how we're gonna do with this money. But there's a thing about taxes, and whether they have to pay taxes for being in the river near your property. And what happens is they want to come up with a number that they can give to the utilities for infrastructure improvements. And I think the number was like 100,000.
Well, I think it's much higher than that.
Yeah, so it's like 330,000 for divided amongst
Yeah.
us, something like that. Yes, but they're trying to work these numbers out.
They
And,
are. What is it?
So,
it's,
see, let's, right now, we don't have enough information to talk well about this.
in my call with Jen. She wanted to
They're
come down and
floating
meet,
this idea
she wanted
as-
to come down and meet with us. It appears that within the next 2 weeks, there'll be a meeting and we'll be
I haven't,
having them come in.
since I spoke to you, what, 6, 8 months ago? I haven't heard a thing.
I know, I was surprised to get this contact. She wanted to talk to me this week. Like, no, there's been big changes in here. You need to get everybody else up to speed on it.
So that'd be good, thank you for the update, because I haven't
Yeah.
heard anything from her.
Right.
But it only goes to the water treatment plants. Right, so what I was told 8 months ago was this community development fund will go to and ask, you will give each. I think it's a higher number than that.
Yeah, and it's probably negotiable too, so.
So,
But now is the time, they're wanting to move forward with that is why I call it the idea. If that's what she wanted to do, she just wanted to come with her and her lawyer. Like, work out a deal, I'm like, I'm not the guy that's a tool for the city.
So this is a community fund for them?
no,
They wanna give money, they're saying that we don't believe we have to pay taxes on water that's on cable that's under the river. Okay. But we think we should. So therefore, we would like to come up with a number that everybody can agree upon.
it's a little pilot.
Yeah.
So there's no way. New York State said you don't have to do a pilot. They declared that no counties have to do it. Alter is dealing with it, Dutchess is dealing with it. They came to with this other fund. And it's in the millions of money that they wanted to disperse to communities. But they want to take a chunk of that money and give it to water plants. For everything that we're doing. That's as much as I know. Thank you.
So there should be a presentation in the next couple weeks. So you'll be hearing from me.
Let me know.
Well, this
You're
one,
here.
they wanted to talk to the city, so.
Yeah.
But
Anxious to what they're offering.
So in
Yeah.
addition to the Nori Point open house, is anyone else aware of another one taking place? Town of Esopus is considering doing one for the Ulster County. But is there anyone else that is doing an open house for the residents to come and ask questions on it? No.
I'm sure they would be glad if you asked them to do this presentation over and over, do it.
This is,
Or any
this
presentation.
is exactly what I think they're looking to bring to Town of Esopus, and they're shooting for the first week of April.
Can you pass that around? That would be great.
Yes.
I think I emailed it to you.
Yeah, that was enough.
You can take a look. I want to make sure.
Probably in there somewhere.
Yeah, all those emails you've been getting from me lately.
All right, so we're gonna move, we're gonna
You
keep moving
mentioned
on here.
7,000 others, right?
Right. We're gonna keep moving. All right, so the next thing on the agenda was this PowerPoint presentation. I wasn't aware of one for all, so that'd be great.
Yeah, and it's something that I've really been pushing for because we have, as you know, a ton of residents who are eager to hear more about the project, also have a lot of concerns and questions. And so this is the forum that Jen White has offered to us. And they also met with Ulster County a couple of weeks back as well. Emergency management, so they'll hook up with us and it'll be kind of a county thing.
Is there a sense that you need other voices there or that you want them, just them to show up?
So we have, yeah,
Like Riverkeeper
we haven't
on
really
the, and a panel,
talked
on a
about-
panel with them, or yeah?
Yeah, so I initially envisioned this being a meeting
Yeah.
setting. TDI is pushing for it to be more of an open house setting, where people can kind of go around and learn about the project. Just because you guys are new, I'm looking at this project from an emergency management standpoint. Understanding that we can't get this thing out of the water, got it, but my focus is making sure that should something happen, that our water supply is not affected, and if it isn't, we have a really buttoned up plan B with the city of Kingston, and just making sure that everyone from TDI, the county, the state is aware of the impacts that this can have on our drinking water. So yes, I do think that there needs to be an emergency management type booth. If this is the way we're gonna go with this open house scenario, I do think that there should be some sort of, so that people can talk about what or understand how we're looking at it and know that there is a plan should something happen. Versus just here's the information on shipping.
Which may not increase public trust if you're just hearing from just.
Absolutely,
Hudson, right?
yeah. And that's why it's important for me to bring in the emergency management team.
Yeah.
It's a big one for our community.
Okay, thank you. New York State Drinking Water Source Protection Program. I was thinking Emily was going to be here. She had said she was. I don't see Emily on the agenda, so I'm not quite sure where she was doing, what she was working on, but she wanted to give a quick update. So you have to table that for next time. The 2024 Consolidated Research Program Grant Application. Shannon, you're back up.
All right, so we have, gotten sort of a subcommittee together to think about what a monitoring plan could look like for the Hudson 7 in evaluating, source water quality. And obviously that monitoring costs money. So we've been looking for some funding mechanisms, and we have the Water Research Foundation unsolicited program RFP that was recently released. They are looking for pre-proposals, which are pretty short 3-page proposals that need to be submitted by the end of March. And then if you're asked to submit a full proposal, we would know in June if we'd be asked to submit a full proposal. And so the sort of monitoring subcommittee has been meeting to discuss, how to respond to that RFP and see if we can get some money to do that monitoring. And how we are kind of, talking about this as a research project is like building a model for source water monitoring and what that should look like. So evaluating sources, where do you sample? How often do you sample? What are the contaminants that you're looking for? How do you report that data? How do you, engage communities before or after or during that process? So, so we are hoping to get an application in for that at the end of the month, partnering with Cornell to do the sample analysis. And then, if it's successful, the project wouldn't start until January of 2025. So we're looking at, a sampling season that is far in the future, but we're hoping that just going through this process and outlining a plan for monitoring and writing this all up will help us as we look for a variety of funding sources to be able to do this monitoring.
Yeah, is this something you would like Hudson 7? I know we met the other day, Hudson 7 to kind of take a position on.
Yeah, that would be great.
Right, so the work that this is new. We have a DWSP2 program, but we don't have a monitoring component to it, as Shannon talked about. So to have that monitoring component on it is something it's a grant application. I'd like to make a motion to have Hudson 7 support the application going forward for Shannon to continue with our application. I have a second. Discussion.
The DW, whatever, P2,
DWS.
that's, what that is that's a watershed committee, a committee that was formed with Riverkeeper and to look at the watershed and identify in the health department. It's about the really good working group we have. Ben and Grant and Mike are all on that group. And what we're trying to do is to find what's our watershed and where's our potential risk within the watershed. As far as, so we've got maps that really done a lot of work. Got the maps that show where the watershed is, and now we're trying to find out where do we think some contaminants might come in. And so we need to look at that. Well, then this grant came up and Shannon jumped in and said, well, why don't we go for this grant? And that's where they're going. But that's what this other, that's how it got pushed into this. It's a good, really good thing.
I have a motion, second, any other discussion? All in favor of supporting the grant application? Aye. Approved. Emily. Hello. Emily, can we back up?
I thought this was at 5:30. I'm not caught up on things, so I apologize. Hi.
That's all right. We know you're busy. Can we back up with just a one step? Can you give us a very quick update on the municipal code review?
Yes. We are almost done with that. Is that a good update?
Yes.
Yeah. My assistant has been going through the codes that and reviewing the ones I had done a couple years ago to make to update those. So I think we're almost finished. So I know that there's a need for that to be finished soon for the DWSP2 plan, right? So we will wrap it up.
Very good. Thank you. All right. So while we had Shannon on the table, Shannon's been working very closely with us already on the DWSP2, but we've never really officially anointed her, right, in terms of part of the process and one of our technical advisors. We've talked about it briefly, but I'd like to make a motion to do two things for Shannon. Is to one, have her as a technical advisor on our DWSP2 committee, but also have her as the scientific technical advisor for the Hudson Center. A second? Any questions? Shannon? You up for the task?
Yeah, this would be great. I just to provide everyone a little background. So my PhD is in analytical chemistry. I've been working on emerging contaminants and drinking water for many years, also water treatment. So yeah, this would be great. I would be more than happy to help.
Thank you very much. All right, so all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those are unanimous. Very good. Thank you, Shannon, for everything you're doing. Helping us out.
Of course.
All right. Paul, we have 2 slides from Paul, but we don't have Paul.
But then we don't have Paul yet.
All right, very quickly. Paul is our representative on the AWRG, right, for the SOPAS. And what Paul's been doing is a very good job in terms of driving AWRG, in terms of managing the flood, the impacts on our drinking water. He would also like to start addressing the flooding issues on the lower SOPAS. So at a very, very high level, without having Paul here, the county, in my opinion, Ulster County and the communities on all along the SOPAS, the counties are going to take this task up. Paul wanted to also take the task up in terms of saying, listen, we have a major concern, the flooding coming down on, release from the reservoir is an impact on our reservoir. Besides, he wants to get into land erosion and everything else. That's kind of out of our scope, in my opinion. Our focus is on, was to keep our blinders on, or focus on the impact on water quality, not the land erosion, and I would like the counties to do that. I'm okay if Paul mentions it, but the biggest issue that Paul is driving for us is when they shut down the aqueduct and planning, if there's a 100-year storm, there's no flood emergency plan like we're talking about to handle the flood risk when they now shut down and do the, what's it called, the Sentry project, I think that's what it's called, and shutting down the Delaware Aqueduct to do the work. So I want to keep Paul focused on that, because that is the major risk to us in terms of our contamination. And if there is a 100-year storm and that aqueduct is shut down and they can't release it, it really creates turbidity in the river for us. And that's the problem that all the water plants have to deal with all the time, and it could get worse if they do this. So I'm not going to move any farther on that because I'd really like Paul to discuss it. That's at a high level.
In 2021, December 2021 and January 22, they dumped a lot of water out of there, which increased our turbidity, which increased our processing of sludge, which we told them, I think it was like $13,000 extra because of all the mud that we put down the river.
Yeah.
So we were complaining, we put in a complaint to them, but I don't think they even responded.
Well, actually, we did get some results out of all that fighting.
Yeah, but Paul got on the committee.
We got Paul as a chair on the AWRG, which we never had before. So now we have representation. He's Hudson 7 representation. He's not a Silver Creek representation, but I want to make that distinction. But the thing that came out of that, now now New York City has to take into consideration the impacts on drinking water when they do the releases. That's huge. That is huge for us because New York City could give a crap about us before. But now they have to take that into consideration. So as a result of some of the work that's been done on AWRG, we did get that result a while back. Paul's continuing to fight. Paul continues to sit on the seat, but I'd rather have him talk about his concern and bring that forward. So I'm going to table that part. All right. Okay.
Gary, can you hear me?
Yes, Dan.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Oh, yeah. Can I say one thing about this?
Sure.
Thanks. So I'm also on the ARWG, and I agree in general with your assessment that Paul's focus, where the Hudson 7's interest is, and Paul's focus on flooding has been really exemplary in raising that issue. I want to be clear because I think it is an important issue for Ulster County and the residents and areas along the Esopus Creek. There is one. So the key risk that he's trying to address is this hurricane season. So this September, essentially, because there's a confluence of things that are possible. With the Delaware Aqueduct is being shut down for repairs, which means the Ashokan Reservoir will be kept at a higher capacity, filled up to a higher level than it might be typical at that time of year. And so the concern is that if a hurricane comes with a lot of water it will be a greater risk of overtopping the reservoir and spilling downstream and exacerbating flooding on the lower surface. And so it's a narrow time window of concern where he's raising this issue and trying to get some adjustments to the DEP's policy on how full the reservoir will be kept during that time period. And I did just want to raise, there is a contamination concern here, and I might hand off to Shannon to talk more about it if she's able, but you know, what the risk is that the floodplains of the lower Sophus Creek have development in them. So if there's a flood there, it will mobilize the stuff that is in those floodplains. That could be fuel oil in people's tanks. It could be septic systems. It could be, you know, whatever is built in that area that floods will be mobilized, come down those Sophus Creek and join the Hudson. So that's not the direct risk that he's been focused on. He's been more focused on saying, look, this is a risk to the people that live there, and the floodplains are not accurately mapped relative to flood risk. So there's a public health, you know, concern here and a public safety concern that is unaddressed and needs to be addressed. But there is a potential contamination mobilization event that would happen if this confluence event occurs with a major storm at a time when the reservoir is very full and resulting in flooding along the lower Sophus Creek. So I just wanted to raise that there is that potential connection to your direct interest in this. And I don't know if, Shannon, you wanted to say anything else, because it's a topic that I think you've thought about a little bit in your academic life and past work with drinking water sources. But so I'll leave it at that and get back to driving.
So Shannon, let me jump in here quickly. I do have information that the county is now going to take this up as an emergency, as an action. The AWRG, Ulster County is going to. So I don't know whether we should do it. My point was, should we as Hudson 7 be taking it as an action, or should we let the county take the lead? Because it really is more, as Dan talked about, planes on the surface. Shannon, do you have any comment?
Yeah, I mean, you know, as Dan mentioned, there's definitely the potential there, you know, during a storm event. And it would be tough to say exactly how, you know, how great the concern could be, because, you know, we don't know what's in that sediment. So I think, you know, if we could get a little bit more information, if there is any data that exists, or there are any data that exist, that could sort of characterize that sediment, that might be good for us to see, and that could help us in making a decision. But yeah, I think this is something that it could be a concern during storm events.
One other thing, so this Delaware Aqueduct shutdown has been delayed 2 years. It's delayed once, delayed twice. They can't delay it anymore. So this is the year 3 for which they now are committed to have to do it. So that's why the emergency in terms of bringing this up at the AWRG is now's the time. Right? Because we've been fighting the reservoir height and the condition of flooding when the Delaware is shutting down for 2 years in terms of preparation for that. But we haven't been taking on the fight of the floodplains in the Sophus, along Sophus Creek.
Which is not in the town of Esopus, for those wondering.
Right. We're talking about the Sophus Creek.
Yeah. So it runs through, close to the river, Ulster and Socrates.
All right. I'm gonna move on.
Gary, looks like Amanda might want to speak.
Amanda, oh, hi.
Hello.
Oh,
Thank I joined late, so my apologies. But I did just want to say a few things. First, you know, the current plan for the DEP to attempt to operate the Ashokan Reservoir at the existing storage curve, so maintaining a little bit of a void, a 10% void through the season, is is relatively new. They were originally proposing to operate it full, which really would have put us all in a precarious situation. And I, want to thank the Hudson Seven and Paul for his voice that was really in like too much risk for that situation, so that the DEP did change that. So that was a really good step and a really good outcome. I think, if we're looking at an event with a 10% void that would flood and top the lower Sopus, I mean, it's certainly like within the realm of possible, but I think it would be a major event across the region and would probably affect multiple systems and not just the lower Sopus. So, it's more than just one stream loading into the Hudson at that particular time. So I think that's important to kind of keep into consideration too. And also, I don't think, I can't say everything about what we're planning on doing right now, as those plans are just kind of coming together. But we have gotten some word of that there will be more support from the state to do some of the hydrologic on the lower Sopus that will better inform kind of what we know about our risk for flooding and what we know about our risk for flooding with different operations of the reservoir. So there have been a lot of voices calling for that over the years, but I'm happy to report that the state will be providing the funding and moving us through
You're
the hydraulic.
breaking up pretty badly. Computer crashing. All right, we're gonna move on.
Emily has.
Emily, did you have a comment?
I will
That
just
was a request for the next meeting. Yeah, but
Yeah, I asked if we could put it on for next month, because I know we don't have much more time.
I got your comment. Thank
Thanks.
you.
Amanda's back.
I'm
Amanda,
sorry about that was enough. So if it's on next month, I'll be able to join and say more. So,
very good.
but sorry, I don't know. I lost Wi-Fi and totally dropped out there. My apologies.
No worries. Thank you very much. All right, Hudson River Anchorage. The research is, the only update I have on that is the research is continuing to try to find an RNA, right? So it's not our job to tell them where to park. It's only our job to tell them where not to park. Right, so that's why we want to establish the RNA and move that out. So I don't have any other additional information. We're waiting for DEC and everybody to come together in terms of doing that. And the work that Riverkeeper is doing to drive finding an RNA model that we could use. So
You define what an RNA is.
I forget what the acronym stands for. Region, what?
It's basically an area of protection, so we can claim around our intakes. They can't anchor there because we need protection. And so that's what it is. Coast Guard recommended that we go in that direction, that we try to protect our intakes and not try to go crazy up there.
But they only wanted to put 200 yards around their intakes. That's all they wanted. That doesn't protect us if there's a spill. Our vision of an RNA is from Rhinebeck to
The walkway.
Yeah, that's our vision of an RNA, but there's already one in Hyde Park, an Anchorage one, right? So it impacts what's already defined in their existing parking lot that they use. So that's why we need an RNA that we can model after to be able to. There.
Gary, I can't remember, is the Kingston hub north of Rhinebeck, or is that still south of Rhinebeck? Where they're parking right now?
That's south of Rhinebeck.
Still south of Rhinebeck, yeah, that's just right up front.
Yeah, so,
Right next.
but I don't think there's an official parking lot for you guys. That's the problem. When they park there, we call. They jump ship, right?
So, I think, yeah, you're right, when they were parking there a few years ago, but where they continually park and hang out for night or That was called Kingston Hill. That's what John Lipson described it as, like a couple few hundred yards north of
Yeah.
my plant.
Right.
That designated area. But then they would also anchor out directly out in front of where I'm at. And
And then same way in front of our plant,
that's when you make the call.
right, so they move out. So the goal is to get them out there. That's the goal. We don't want them there. Don't want them parking in, we don't want a parking lot. You know, and again, it's back to the risk of contamination. That's the reason. Right, so if there is a spill or leakage or whatever, we don't want that in this watershed area.
Well, if they're anchoring, you don't want them in the full top spot. All right?
No, we don't want them in there, but
Yeah.
they
I
have
mean,
certain
we don't-
areas they like to
Yeah.
anchor because of the shape of the river and the turns and the bends. And so it's pretty much set that they want it, what the rule is that they can anchor anytime they need to. And they have to leave when they can. But they take it sometimes because the need is, once they go past the Kingston Bridge, it's not wide enough for two ships to go and pass. So they have to wait for the other ship to come down before they can go up. Or vice
Yeah,
versa.
and if there's a ship already parked at the port up in Albany, and that port's not clear, they have to wait till that ship clears so that they can go. So they want to park so that they can get quickly into the port after the one leaves Albany, which gets them further north up here to be able to park their boats. And it's a risk. We fought it before. Back in 2016, 17, we fought it and won. But now they're back. Right, with a new plan. And they said back then they were gonna come back with a plan. Well, this is now round two. But everybody got behind us. Pat got behind us. Everybody got behind us in terms of saying this is not a good thing. So we have good support for it.
One of the things that came out of the study on anchorages is that the Coast Guard set up they had a PASA, which was a board analysis, safety analysis. And of that, they formed a safety team for the Hudson River that is functioning. It's a group that is diverse. There's probably 15 different members of it, which I am one, because I represent the communities. But they have different, like the Coast Guard comes to meetings, so it's very DEC's at the meetings, River Keepers at the meetings. It's a very good group and hope they'll get more active. But the theory is that anytime anyone wants to do anything in a river, they have to get it through this group. It's called the Hudson River Safety Committee before they can get approval. And the committee's still young, but it's working. It's good to see that they have that.
Thank you. Water treatment plant operator. So, Nick, we have a committee. We have a committee that consists of who else? I had Randy on it and I had Rebecca on it and you, right? And Dot, oh,
Right.
excellent. I know you're on it, Dot. So you guys are meeting, and the purpose of this committee is to formally getting all water plant operators talking about water. And which is one of the original goals of the Hudson Seven, share information between water plants. Nick and I know, my guy, they guys talk back and forth quite often, know each other. But it's really about sharing equipment, sharing testing capabilities, sharing what's happening on the river, and getting the water operators and supervisors to be able to talk together. So you guys you're gonna formulate maybe to possibly the next meeting, this committee to get together at your place.
Yeah, I offered up a plan, so we're just waiting to hear back from various members, but maybe the end of this month or early April. depending on
Thank you, this is a good thing. Randy's being Randy.
I said I'll be there.
So were you guys getting initially together to figure out how to start pulling everybody in?
Yeah, so Rebecca and I spoke when she came months ago, and she mentioned it then, like, what do I think? And I think she had mentioned it to Randy. It's unanimous, and not the superintendent, or chief of the plan, but water operators as well, so just to get an idea of bigger picture, kind of subject matter experts, giving a chance to network how each other just divided by the river. So I didn't hear much about it, and then Rebecca,
I rejuvenated it.
right, which was great, and I knew she was working on it, the entire time. So, I offered my plant, it's, it's about the size of this room, my entire plant, all my guys, it's a parking lot. But it's nothing compared to here, and I did mention that in the email, but yeah, I'm gladly accommodate out there, sure.
Thank you.
Of course.
I mean, this is what we've always wanted to do. All right, any other questions on that? Any other business anybody wants? I mean, hearing none, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn. All of them.
Second.
Thank you, Rebecca. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Great turnout tonight. Thank you all. Bye, everybody.
Yeah, I don't know.
Bye-bye.
Good night, thank you.
Bye now.